The Book of Enoch whispers an eternal truth. The universe responds not to struggle but to certainty. This audiobook will show you how to command reality with the authority of one who remembers their divine birthright. Your time of remembrance begins now. Book of Enoch. Introduction. Before the birth of worlds and the weaving of time, a sacred law was set in motion, a law so pure, so absolute, that all of creation rests upon its command. The ancients called it the Silent Covenant, for it governs without resistance and moves in perfect harmony with the unseen. Hidden within the chapters of the Book of Enoch lies this eternal truth. Your thoughts are not fleeting sparks of imagination, but decrees written upon the fabric of existence, awaiting their appointed hour to manifest. This wisdom is no relic of forgotten ages. It is the breath of life that animates the cosmos. You hold a power so immeasurable that past generations veiled it in mystery, fearing its magnitude. Yet the seals of secrecy are broken. You now stand at the threshold of remembrance, where the veil between the seen and the unseen grows thin, and your dominion is restored. Understand this: there is no resistance in the spaces between your desire and its fulfillment, only the perfect obedience of universal law. The universe does not judge, does not delay. It mirrors, with flawless precision, the vibration of your inner certainty. You are not a beggar at the gates of fate, but a sovereign of infinite realms, a voice that commands the unseen into form. When this truth ceases to be theory and becomes the pulse of your being, the architecture of reality bends in your favor. The outer world becomes a reflection of the truth you dare to hold within. Nothing was ever truly hidden. The law awaited your awakening, and now, as these words pass through the corridors of your soul, the ancient codes stir. The power you seek was never distant. It has always been yours, waiting to be remembered. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Part 1. The Hidden Law of Dominion. Chapter 1. The Language of the Unseen. In the annals of those who have glimpsed the universe's true nature, the tale of Walter, a merchant from the coastal shores of New England, stands as testament to an eternal truth. In his ledgers and transactions, Walter began to witness a peculiar pattern. His spoken declarations manifested with uncanny precision. When he pronounced, "Today brings abundance," customers would flood his store. Upon stating, "The supplies will arrive early," ships would appear on the horizon ahead of schedule. At first, Walter dismissed these occurrences as mere chance, yet, as the evidence mounted, he could no longer deny the power flowing through his words. Each utterance carried the weight of creation, each statement a seed planted in the fertile soil of infinite possibility. But it was not the words alone that held this power. It was the unwavering knowing behind them. Walter's voice resonated with absolute certainty, and the universe responded in kind. His discovery mirrors an ancient truth. Speech is not merely communication, but command. In the mountains beyond the city, a woman named Agatha lived in solitude, having withdrawn from the world to understand the deeper mysteries of existence. Through years of contemplation, she uncovered a truth even more subtle. In perfect silence, thought clothed in absolute faith becomes the highest form of speech. In her quiet moments, Agatha learned that the universe responds not to volume, but to vibration. When she held a thought with complete conviction, reality reshaped itself to match her inner knowing. Her silence became more powerful than any spoken word, for in that silence lived pure intention, unmarred by doubt. These accounts illuminate a fundamental law. The universe does not weigh your words or evaluate your requests. It simply mirrors the frequency of your conviction. Whether through Walter's spoken commands or Agatha's silent knowing, the outcome flows from the same source, absolute certainty, ancient practice of the word. As night falls, find a space of solitude. Let the darkness embrace you, for it is in this sacred chamber that the power of your word grows strongest. Choose one desire, one truth you wish to manifest. Speak it aloud, not as a hope or wish, but as a statement of what is already so. Let your voice carry the weight of absolute knowing. Feel each word resonate in your chest, your throat, your very being. Speak as though your words are already reality, for in the higher realms, they are. The vibration of your voice, charged with unwavering faith, becomes the bridge across which your desire crosses from the unseen into the seen. This is not an exercise in imagination. It is an act of creation itself. For when you speak with the authority of one who knows, the universe has no choice but to conform to your command. Chapter 2, The Seal of Desire. Hidden within the chapters of an old Bible, Clara discovered a yellowed envelope, sealed with her mother's distinctive script. Inside lay a letter penned 30 years prior, a declaration so pure, so certain, that time itself had bent to fulfill its command. The words described, with striking detail, the very life Clara now lived, her profession as a healer, her home by the evergreen forest, even the small birthmark on her daughter's left hand. This was no coincidence. Her mother's desire, written with such unwavering certainty, had carved a path through decades of time. The letter wasn't a plea or a wish. It was an instruction given to the universal mind, which knows no bounds of time or space. You see, desire in its purest form is not the desperate yearning that most mistake it for. It is instead a divine blueprint, a command issued from the depths of your being to the vast intelligence that orchestrates all of creation. When you strip away doubt, when you eliminate the need to know how, your desire becomes as natural and inevitable as a seed growing toward sunlight. Franklin, a craftsman who shaped wood with loving attention, stumbled upon this truth through his own experience. In his workshop, surrounded by his creations, he noticed that whenever he held a pure vision of what he wished to create, unmarred by doubt or fear, the perfect materials would appear, often in unexpected ways. A rare piece of mahogany would be gifted by a stranger, or an ancient technique would reveal itself in a dream. He learned that desire, when untainted by anxiety or desperation, acts as a magnetic force. Just as iron filings arrange themselves in perfect patterns around a magnet, the circumstances of life align themselves around a pure desire. The universe responds not to the intensity of wanting, but to the clarity of knowing. Your desires are not random impulses. They are sacred instructions encoded within your soul, waiting to be declared with authority. When you state them with the same certainty with which you would state your own name, the universal mind receives them as commands to be fulfilled. Ancient practice of written declaration. As the night draws near and the world grows quiet, take a single sheet of paper. In the soft glow of lamplight, write one desire that burns brightest in your heart. But write not as one who hopes or wishes. Write as a historian, recording what has already come to pass. Let your words carry the weight of absolute knowing. Feel the pen move across the paper, each stroke declaring what is, not what might be. Write with the same certainty with which you would record your own birth date, or the color of your eyes. For in the realms beyond time, where all creation begins, your desire already exists as fact. Your written words are simply acknowledging what is already so. Chapter 3, The Covenant of Thought. In the quiet valley where generations had tilled the earth, Edwin's fields lay barren and unyielding. Season after season, he had watched his crops wither, despite every physical effort. The same soil that blessed his neighbors with abundance seemed to curse his hands with failure. Yet in that moment of deepest despair, a truth older than agriculture itself whispered through his consciousness. The earth was merely a mirror, reflecting back the wasteland of his own thoughts. With this revelation, Edwin understood that his land was not defying his labor, but faithfully obeying his deepest convictions. Each morning, as he surveyed his fields, his mind had planted seeds of doubt, watered them with worry, and harvested exactly what he expected: scarcity. The soil was not his enemy. It was his most loyal servant, manifesting precisely what he held in his mental realm. This law of reflection operates with mathematical precision in every sphere of existence. Just as a lake cannot help but mirror the sky above, the material world cannot help but echo the images you hold within. Your outer world obeys your inner world with unfailing fidelity. Lillian, whose fingers had known poverty's trembling, discovered this truth at her sewing table. Where once she stitched garments for others while wearing threadbare clothes herself, she began to weave something far more powerful than mere fabric. She began to sew beautiful images in the workshop of her mind. Each evening, as her hands rested from their labor, she would close her eyes and see herself draped in finest silks, her workroom filled with elegant customers, her name whispered in society's highest circles. She held these pictures with the same certainty with which she threaded her needles, knowing that the universal law must respond. Within months, her small shop transformed. Wealthy patrons appeared as if drawn by an unseen hand. Her designs, once simple repairs, became sought-after creations. The very walls that had witnessed her poverty now watched as prosperity flowed through her doors like sunlight through open windows. You see, thought is not merely a passive observer of reality. It is the master architect. Whatever image you hold steadfastly in your mind must, by cosmic law, clothe itself in physical form. This is not wishful thinking, but the operation of an immutable principle. The outer must obey the inner. Ancient practice of the 7 breaths. Find a place of silence where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and draw your attention to your breath. For the span of 7 deep breaths, you will perform the highest act of creation. With each inhalation, gather all that you desire, not as a future possibility, but as a present fact. See your life exactly as you will it to be. Let each exhalation dissolve the appearance of current circumstances that oppose your vision. For these 7 breaths, you command reality itself. The outer world has no choice but to reshape itself according to the blueprint you hold within. Chapter 4. The Unspoken Name. In the depths of an ancient library, where dust motes danced in shafts of morning light, Beatrice discovered a yellowed manuscript bound in leather. Upon its weathered chapters, a single phrase repeated in flowing script: "I am." As her fingers traced these sacred letters, she felt reality itself quiver with recognition. The power contained within those 2 words transcended mere language. It was the original creative force through which the universe first spoke itself into being. What Beatrice held was not simply a document, but the key to unlocking the creative power that flows through all existence. Your identity is not a prison of circumstance, but a declaration of power. When you speak, "I am," you invoke the same creative force that set the stars in motion. These words form the bridge between potential and manifestation, between the invisible and the visible. The universe does not question your declarations. It simply responds with perfect obedience to what follows these sacred words. Each time you complete the phrase, "I am," you command the infinite to arrange itself according to your word. This is not arrogance, but the acceptance of your divine heritage as a creative being. Leonard, immersed in his scholarly pursuits, stumbled upon this truth in the quietness of his study. Where once he had whispered, "I am trying," he began to declare, "I am wisdom embodied." The shift was subtle, yet seismic. His understanding deepened not through added effort, but through the power of his self-declaration. Knowledge began to flow through him as naturally as breath, and those who once saw him as a mere student now sought him as a teacher. This is the ancient mystery. Your identity is not fixed but fluid, not imposed but declared. The names you give yourself become the signatures to which the universe must respond. When you say, "I am," the very foundations of creation pause to listen, ready to reshape themselves around your word. The sacred practice of declaration: find a space of absolute solitude where only the silence bears witness. Let your breath become still and feel the weight of all creation waiting for your word. Then, with the authority of one who commands worlds, whisper, "I am," followed by the state you desire. Speak not as one who wishes or hopes, but as one who knows. Let your voice carry the certainty of law, for in this moment you are not making a request. You are issuing a divine decree to which the universe must bend. Chapter 5. The Mirror of Worlds. In a port town where mists veiled the horizon, Harold gazed skyward each night, charting his course by celestial light. As seasons passed, he began to notice something extraordinary. The patterns above shifted in perfect synchronicity with the charts he held in his mind. When fear clouded his thoughts, storms would gather. When clarity reigned within, the stars blazed with uncommon brilliance, guiding his vessel to safe harbor. The heavens were not merely responding to his navigation, they were reflecting his consciousness. This truth extends beyond the sailor's tale. Your outer world mirrors your inner state with unwavering precision. The universe operates as a grand mirror, multiplying every image you hold within. This eternal law reveals why some remain trapped in cycles of lack, while others dance in abundance. It is not circumstance that binds or frees you. It is the reflection of your sustained inner vision that manifests as your daily reality. Mabel, once celebrated in concert halls, found herself playing in empty venues, her music falling on fewer ears with each passing season. In desperation, she sought answers not in external actions, but in the chamber of her own consciousness. There, she began composing a new inner symphony, one of packed audiences, standing ovations, and artistic triumph. Each morning before touching her piano keys, she would sit in silence, allowing this vision to play with perfect clarity in her mind. She saw not what was, but what would be. Within months, the outer world began to harmonize with her inner composition. Invitations arrived, audiences returned, and her music soared once more, not because she had practiced longer hours, but because she had altered the score written in her consciousness. Your life follows the same principle. The universe does not randomly bestow success or withhold it. It simply magnifies what you hold as truth within. Every circumstance, relationship, and experience in your life is a reflection of your inner dialogue, beliefs, and expectations. The ancient practice of mirror manifestation: stand before a mirror in the hour before dawn or after sunset, when the veil between dimensions grows thin. Let your eyes meet your reflection, but see beyond the physical form. In this sacred moment, speak to your reflection as though it were tomorrow's reality made visible today. Declare not what you wish to become, but what you already are in the eternal now. Let your voice carry the weight of absolute knowing, for in this mystical exchange, you are both the creator and the witness of your transformation. The mirror becomes a portal through which your chosen reality steps forth into manifestation. Remember, the universe does not resist your vision. It simply waits for you to hold it with unwavering clarity. What you see in your mind's eye today becomes the reality you will touch tomorrow. Chapter 6, The Treasury of Silence. The art of prayer extends far beyond spoken words. Through the ages, mystics and sages have whispered of a deeper communion, one that requires no voice, no plea, no desperate bargaining. This truth revealed itself to Horus, a man who had spent years petitioning the heavens with ceaseless entreaties. In his garden one autumn evening, exhausted from years of spiritual striving, Horus finally fell silent. In that moment of surrender, he experienced what countless seekers have discovered: the power of divine stillness. The very things he had begged for began flowing into his life with graceful ease. His business flourished, relationships healed, and opportunities arose as naturally as flowers turning toward the sun. The universe responds not to the volume of your requests, but to the depth of your certainty. When you cease the endless asking, you create space for receiving. This is the paradox that transforms mere prayer into living power. Silence becomes the loudest command. Violet discovered this truth in the depths of her grief. After losing her beloved husband, she spent countless nights crying out to the heavens for peace and direction. But transformation came only when she stilled her anguished pleas and rested in quiet knowing. In her moments of deepest silence, she found herself wrapped in an inexplicable certainty. Without uttering a word, she began to feel her husband's love as a constant presence, guiding her toward a new life filled with purpose. Her quiet confidence spoke volumes to the universal mind, and doors began opening that no amount of verbal prayer had managed to unlock. This is the hidden wisdom. The universe already holds everything you seek. Your role is not to beg or convince, but to align with this truth in perfect stillness. When you rest in the quiet certainty of knowing, creation itself moves to match your inner state. The ancient practice of silent communion: find a space where you will remain undisturbed. Settle into a comfortable position and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. For 5 minutes, release all prayer, all asking, all seeking. Instead, feel the fullness of what you desire as though it already exists within you. Let your entire being resonate with the quiet certainty of possession. In this sacred silence, you become one with your desire, and the universe has no choice but to reflect this unity in the mirror of physical reality. Chapter 7, The Circle of Command. In the ancient traditions, a circle drawn with pure intent becomes more than a mere shape. It transforms into a seal of divine covenant. Flora understood this instinctively when, driven by an inner knowing, she traced a perfect circle in the earth beneath an old oak tree. Within that sacred boundary, she planted her unwavering declaration: here, within this space, her desire would manifest. The power lay not in the physical mark she made, but in the unshakable resolve it represented. By drawing that circle, Flora created a point of no return in consciousness. She refused to cross its boundary until the universe yielded to her inner knowing. Time passed, yet she remained steadfast in her conviction, understanding that her circle represented an agreement between her soul and the infinite. Just as water must flow downhill, just as night must yield to dawn, her desire had no choice but to manifest. The universal law honors such absolute dedication. Within days, the very thing she had claimed appeared in her life, as naturally as a seed breaking through soil. This same principle revealed itself through Chester, whose classroom became a testament to the power of invisible boundaries. When faced with settling for less than his vision of educational excellence, he drew an uncompromising line in his mind. "Here I stand," his soul declared, "and from this position I shall not retreat." His invisible circle became a fortress of conviction. While others accepted the limitations of budget constraints and lowered standards, Chester held firm within his boundary of excellence. The universe, recognizing the power of his resolve, began moving circumstances in mysterious ways. Resources appeared unexpectedly, support manifested from unlikely sources, and his classroom transformed into a beacon of achievement that others thought impossible. These stories illuminate an eternal truth. When you draw a circle in consciousness and plant your flag of certainty within it, you create a sacred space that even the universe must respect. This circle becomes the point where your inner authority meets universal law, where your unwavering stance commands reality itself to conform. The ritual of the sacred circle. Find a quiet moment where you can be undisturbed. Close your eyes and see yourself drawing a perfect circle of light around you. Within this luminous boundary, speak your desire as an accomplished fact. Feel the absolute authority that comes from standing within this sacred space. With calm certainty, declare, "Within this circle, it is done." Let your entire being resonate with the finality of these words, knowing that your circle has become a seal of completion in the universal mind. Chapter 8: The Fire of Affirmation. In a modest dwelling on the outskirts of town, May polished silverware while whispering ancient words of power. At first, these utterances felt foreign on her tongue, yet she persisted, sensing their sacred weight. Each morning before dawn, she would stand before her window, watching the sun pierce the darkness as she spoke her chosen phrases with growing conviction. The universe responds not to the volume of words, but to their vibrational essence. May discovered this truth as she transformed from a timid soul into a beacon of quiet authority. Her simple affirmations carried the force of natural law, as inevitable as gravity, as constant as the stars. Within weeks, opportunities began flowing toward her like tributaries to a mighty river. Those who once overlooked her now sought her counsel. Her employer doubled her wages without prompting, and abundance appeared in unexpected ways. May had awakened to the ancient knowledge. Words spoken with unwavering faith become bridges between the unseen and the manifest. This same principle revealed itself through Silas, whose desk at the counting house had become an altar of transformation. Years of toil had left him weary, his spirit dimmed by routine. Yet in discovering the power of spoken command, he found the key to his liberation. Every morning in the stillness before opening hours, Silas would sit at his desk and speak words of abundance with the certainty of one who knows. He did not beg or plead, he declared. His words carried the weight of mountains, the surety of seasons changing. "I am wealth embodied," he would state, letting each syllable resonate with absolute knowing. The universe, recognizing the frequency of his conviction, began orchestrating a symphony of prosperity. Investments he had long forgotten suddenly yielded returns. Clients sought him out specifically, drawn by an inexplicable magnetism. His authority in financial matters grew not from external credentials, but from the inner certainty that radiated through his words. These teachings reveal an immutable truth. Words repeated with unwavering conviction become living forces that shape reality. Like a sculptor's chisel, they carve your desired future from the marble of infinite possibility. The power lies not in the mechanics of repetition, but in the unshakable knowing that infuses each utterance. The practice of completion. As twilight descends, find a space of perfect solitude. Let your breath settle into a rhythm of certainty. Then, with the authority of one who commands the elements, repeat these words 10 times. It is finished. Speak not as one who hopes, but as one who knows. Let each repetition carry the weight of absolute completion, as if your words were already carved into the bedrock of reality. Chapter 9, The Keeper of the Gate. At the entrance of an ancient estate stood Albert, a gatekeeper whose weathered hands held more than mere iron keys. Each day, he scrutinized visitors with unwavering attention, never knowing that his vigilance mirrored a deeper truth, the sacred duty of guarding one's inner realm. Through countless dawns and dusks, Albert maintained his post with steadfast dedication. Yet the true significance of his role remained hidden until the day he began to notice a peculiar pattern. The visitors he admitted invariably shaped the atmosphere of the entire estate. Those carrying joy brought light to every corner, while those bearing shadows seemed to dim the very air. This observation awakens a fundamental truth. Your consciousness is a hallowed gateway. Like Albert at his post, you stand as the eternal guardian of your inner domain. Each thought requesting entry carries seeds that will take root and flourish in the garden of your experience. What you permit through this sacred threshold becomes the architect of your reality. The law operates with precision. Your inner world must manifest in the outer. Those who master this principle understand that vigilance at the gate ensures sovereignty over the kingdom within. Every thought, emotion, and impression must present its credentials before gaining admission. Dorothy, a woman who had long dwelt in the shadows of lack, discovered this wisdom during her darkest hour. Rather than allowing thoughts of despair to freely roam her mind's corridors, she stationed herself as an unwavering sentinel at the threshold of consciousness. With the authority of a royal guard, she questioned every thought that sought entry. "Does this thought align with the abundance I claim as my birthright?" she would ask. "Does this emotion serve the joy I know to be my true nature?" Those that failed inspection were turned away, regardless of how persistently they demanded entry. Through this practice, Dorothy transformed her inner landscape from a territory of shadows into a realm of light. The universe honors such guardianship, and as Dorothy maintained her vigil, joy found increasingly frequent passage through her gates. Abundance, recognizing a welcoming domain, began to make its home within her experience. Her outer world transformed not through external effort, but through the mastery of her inner gateway. This ancient truth stands unchanging. What crosses the threshold of your consciousness becomes the architect of your destiny. You are not a passive observer, but the appointed guardian of a sacred realm. Every thought seeks permanent residence. Choose your tenants wisely. The practice of the guardian. Throughout this day, assume your position as the vigilant keeper of your mind's gate. Let no thought pass unchallenged. Question each visitor. Do you serve the reality I am calling forth? Those that would diminish your power or deny your good must be turned away. Stand firm in this holy office, knowing that your guardianship shapes the kingdom of your experience. Chapter 10. The Scroll of Remembrance. In a sunlit attic, Hattie discovered a weathered scroll, its edges frayed by time. As she unrolled the delicate parchment, her eyes widened. Before her lay a meticulous record of prayers answered, wishes granted, and dreams manifested. Each entry bore not only the desire fulfilled, but expressions of deep gratitude that seemed to pulse with living energy. This sacred ledger revealed an eternal truth. Gratitude is not merely a response to blessing. It is the very seal that fixes creation into form. As Hattie studied the scroll, she noticed how each thanksgiving seemed to echo through time, drawing similar blessings again and again like waves returning to shore. The universe operates through perfect law. What you remember with praise becomes the template for future manifestation. Your gratitude is not simply an acknowledgement of what was, it is a command for what shall be. When you recall past fulfillment with genuine appreciation, you summon the same creative force that birthed it initially. Norris, a humble bookkeeper, stumbled upon this wisdom during his darkest hour. Instead of dwelling on lack, he began a nightly ritual of rehearsing every blessing, every answered prayer, every unexpected gift that had graced his life. At first the practice seemed modest, giving thanks for a timely rain, a kind word, a small windfall. Yet as he persisted, something extraordinary occurred. Each blessing remembered seemed to multiply, as though gratitude itself were a seed that grew into forests of abundance. The more he recalled past fulfillment with genuine appreciation, the more life showered him with new reasons for thanksgiving. The law works with mathematical precision. Memory infused with gratitude becomes prophecy. When you hold past blessings in your heart with genuine appreciation, you create a magnetic field that draws similar experiences into your present. This is not mere positive thinking, it is the activation of an immutable principle. Your memory is not a static record, but a living force. Each time you recall a manifestation with thanksgiving, you refresh its pattern in the universal mind. Like a master artist who studies successful works to create new masterpieces, your grateful remembrance becomes the blueprint for future fulfillment. The practice of remembrance. Tonight, as the world grows quiet, bring to mind 3 desires that have already manifested in your life. Feel the same joy that filled your heart when they first appeared. Give thanks with the same intensity as though these blessings have just now been granted. Let your gratitude rise like incense before the universal mind, knowing that what you remember with praise contains the seed of its own multiplication. Part 2, The Keys of Command. Chapter 11, The Law Beneath the Law. In the hushed sanctuary of an old library, Eleanor's fingers traced the gilded edges of a worn hymnal. Between its chapters lay a yellowed note, inscribed in an elegant hand, "There is a law beneath all laws." As she held this fragment of wisdom, a truth stirred within her soul. All earthly laws bow before spiritual principle. The visible world, with its seeming rules and limitations, is but a shadow play upon the walls of consciousness. Behind every material law stands a higher spiritual mandate, just as behind every wave lies the vast power of the ocean itself. This truth reveals why some transcend what others call impossible. They have touched the law that governs all laws. When you align your being with spiritual law, the material world reshapes itself accordingly. Like iron filings arranging themselves around a magnet, circumstances must conform to the higher frequency of truth. This is not magical thinking. It is the natural operation of universal principle. Otis discovered this truth amid the collapse of his banking career. While others frantically clutched at material solutions, he turned inward to the unchanging law. In that stillness, he recognized that financial principles were merely shadows cast by deeper truths. As he aligned himself with the law of spiritual abundance, the physical landscape of his life began to shift, not through outer manipulation, but through inner realignment. The universe operates on perfect principle. Just as mathematics underlies all physical laws, spiritual law underlies all manifestation. When you grasp this truth, you cease struggling against conditions and instead align with the power that creates conditions. This is the secret of those who seem blessed by fortune. They have simply discovered their oneness with higher law. Material circumstances, no matter how solid they appear, are like frost patterns on a window pane, beautiful yet temporary. The spiritual law that shaped them remains eternally unchanged, waiting for your recognition. When you stand firmly in this knowledge, outer circumstances must realign themselves to match your inner knowing. Your role is not to battle against conditions, but to rise above them into the realm of cause. From this vantage point, you see that all material law is simply the working out of spiritual principle and form. By aligning with the higher law, you command the lower, just as understanding the principle of heat allows you to control ice. The practice: stand quietly now, feet planted firmly upon the earth, and speak these words with the authority of one who knows. I live by higher law, and it governs my affairs with perfection. Let this declaration rise not from hope, but from the certainty of one who has glimpsed the eternal principle behind all manifestation. Chapter 12, The Altar Within. Deep within the shadows of a New England attic, Priscilla labored to construct an altar of polished oak and brass. She believed that sacred space required physical form, that holiness dwelled in objects carefully arranged. Night after night she knelt before her creation, offering prayers that seemed to echo against wooden beams and return empty. Yet transformation awaited in the whispers of her soul. As autumn leaves turned golden, understanding blossomed within her heart. The true altar existed in the sanctuary of consciousness. The wooden structure she had built was but a symbol of what already lived inside her being. This truth unveils the eternal principle. The outer altar is merely reflection, while the inner altar holds creative power. When you consecrate a desire within the temple of your mind, you ignite forces that transcend physical limitation. The universe responds not to external ritual, but to internal conviction. Rufus, who carried nothing but faith as he wandered from town to town, embodied this wisdom. Without possessions or permanent shelter, he discovered that his consciousness was the true tabernacle. Wherever he traveled, abundance followed, not because he beseeched it, but because he had sanctified it within. His quiet certainty drew provision like moths to flame. The law operates with mathematical precision. What you hallow in consciousness must manifest in experience. This is not mere positive thinking. It is spiritual science. When you dedicate a desire upon the altar of your soul, you elevate it beyond the realm of wanting into the sphere of divine necessity. Every fulfilled desire began as a seed planted in hallowed ground. The inner altar transforms mere wishes into sacred covenant, mere dreams into divine mandate. This is why some prayers seem to echo unanswered while others manifest with lightning speed. The difference lies not in the asking, but in the consecration. The practice, close your eyes and become still. Within the temple of your mind, lay your heart's desire upon the altar of the infinite. Feel its sacredness, its inevitability. Know with unwavering faith that what is blessed within must manifest without, for such is the law of worlds. Chapter 13. The Book That Writes Itself. In a small-town schoolhouse, Marjorie discovered the sacred art of prophetic writing. Each evening, as shadows lengthened across her desk, she opened her leather-bound journal and wrote of life not as it was, but as it would be. Her pen moved with quiet authority, recording victories yet unseen, joys still veiled by time. The universe holds no concept of future or past. It knows only the eternal now. When Marjorie wrote "I am" instead of "I will be," she unknowingly tapped into this timeless realm. Her words became bridges between worlds, connecting present circumstance to desired reality. This ancient practice reveals a fundamental truth. The written word carries creative force. Each sentence penned in unwavering faith becomes a decree the universe must honor. Your hand, guided by conviction, traces pathways through which manifestation flows. Consider Amos, whose simple notebook became a blueprint for destiny. Working as a groundskeeper, he wrote detailed accounts of his architectural achievements, buildings that existed only in his mind. He described their grandeur and beauty as though walking through completed structures. Within months, opportunities arose that transformed his visions into steel and stone. His experience illuminates the law. When consciousness writes with certainty, the universe reads it as command. The key lies not in desperate plea or endless revision, but in recording with the calm assurance of one who knows their words are already fact. This power extends beyond mere goal-setting or positive affirmation. It is the art of scribing reality ahead of time, of making tomorrow's truth today's record. The written word, charged with unwavering belief, becomes a contract the cosmos must fulfill. Yet this practice requires more than mere writing. It demands the courage to declare what is not yet visible, to write of abundance amid lack, of health amid illness, of joy amid sorrow. Your pen must move with the authority of one who sees past appearance into the realm of pure potential. The practice. Take your journal and write the story of your life as though reviewing a completed journey. Describe your achievements, relationships, and circumstances in past tense, with the calm certainty of one recounting actual events. Let your words flow not from hope but from knowing, for what you write with conviction becomes your living testimony. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Golden Thread. The merchant walked the crowded marketplace, his eyes scanning the endless rows of stalls. Yet beneath the din of commerce, Virgil perceived a different kind of signal, a quiet, persistent knowing that drew him away from his usual path. Though logic urged him toward the familiar trading routes, something deeper pulled him toward an unmarked alley he had passed 1,000 times before. This whisper within, this golden thread of intuition, speaks in a language older than words. It communicates through subtle urgings, through inexplicable certainties that defy rational explanation. When Virgil followed this inner compass that day, it led him to an unexpected encounter that transformed his fortunes forever. The universe plants these seeds of guidance within your consciousness, marking the way toward your highest good. These are not random thoughts or fleeting fancies, but divine coordinates encrypted in the language of feeling. Your task is not to question or analyze, but to follow with the trust of one who knows the way home in darkness. Consider Etta, whose small bakery faced ruin during the drought. While others fled to larger cities, she felt an unmistakable urge to remain. Against all counsel, she followed this knowing, transforming her shop into a sanctuary of sustenance when the rains finally returned. Her inner wisdom proved more reliable than external facts. This guidance system operates independently of logic's narrow corridors. It sees beyond the visible spectrum of possibility into realms where miracle and mundane merge. The still, small voice within does not shout. It beckons. It does not demand. It invites. Yet its quiet authority carries more weight than all the world's reasoning. You possess this same internal compass, this crystalline knowing that transcends thought. It manifests as the sudden impulse to take an unexpected turn, to speak to a stranger, to wait when others rush forward. These promptings are not random. They are coordinates in consciousness, leading you toward your destined good. The practice. In stillness, ask within for the next step, then move as if led by an unseen hand. Chapter 15. The Voice That Never Lies. In an age when merchants ruled the harbor city, Cornelia stood at the helm of her family's shipping enterprise. The ledgers spoke of prosperity, the warehouses burst with goods, and her associates praised her business acumen. Yet one morning, as she prepared to sign a contract that would secure her fortune, an inexplicable whisper arose from the depths of her being. "Not this path," it murmured, clear as crystal yet soft as silk. The voice carried no logic, offered no explanation, simply pulsed with unmistakable certainty. Though her mind argued fiercely, presenting figures and facts that supported the venture, the whisper remained steady, unwavering in its counsel. With trembling hands, Cornelia withdrew from the contract. Within a fortnight, her would-be partners faced total ruin as their hidden debts surfaced like corpses on troubled waters. Had she signed, her entire legacy would have vanished beneath those same dark waves. The universe speaks not in shouts but in whispers. Its guidance flows like an underground stream, ever present beneath the noise of rational thought. This voice requires no external validation. It simply knows. It is the law expressing itself through the instrument of intuition, the eternal speaking through the temporal. Judson, a mathematician who lived by logic's cold equations, once scorned such mystical notions. His calculations were his compass, his reasoning his only guide. Yet when numbers failed him, when his carefully constructed formulas led only to dead ends, he discovered a deeper arithmetic. In the silence between his thoughts, he began to perceive a subtle mathematics of the soul. This internal guidance spoke in certainties that transcended proof, in knowings that defied explanation. When he finally surrendered his need to understand and simply followed this inner oracle, his life transformed from a problem to be solved into a mystery unfolding in perfect sequence. The voice within is not separate from the law. It is the law individualized, speaking its wisdom through the temple of your being. It requires no external confirmation, no validation from the world of effects. Its authority stems from the same source that commands the tides and turns the spheres. You carry this oracle within you beneath the chatter of daily thought. Beyond the clamor of reason, it waits to guide your steps. Its wisdom never fails, its counsel never misleads, for it speaks with the authority of the infinite. The practice. Pause thrice today and listen for the whisper beneath your thoughts. Chapter 16, The Shadow of Doubt. In the bustling heart of the trading district, Milton stood before his ledger, watching numbers dance like leaves in an autumn wind. For 30 years he had navigated the currents of commerce, yet a pattern emerged that transcended mere figures. Each time opportunity knocked, fear arrived as its unwelcome companion. The universe operates through absolute law. It knows no hesitation, harbors no doubt. When Milton observed his most successful trades, he noticed they shared one quality. They were executed in moments of pure, unwavering certainty. But when fear cast its shadow, even the surest ventures withered like flowers in frost. This shadow play reveals a truth as old as consciousness itself. Doubt is not a natural state, but an acquired habit. It is the only force in nature that can interrupt the perfect flow of universal law. The universe responds not to your desires alone, but to the quality of faith that accompanies them. Pearl, whose paintings once gathered dust in her small studio, discovered this truth through bitter experience. Her art spoke with authenticity, yet fear whispered constantly of failure. Each time she approached galleries, doubt walked beside her like a dark twin, casting its shadow over her work. Then one morning, as sunlight streamed through her studio window, she understood. Her fear was not protecting her, it was stealing her dominion. With this recognition came a fierce resolve. She would no longer entertain the shadow's counsel. That very day she marched into the city's finest gallery, her portfolio tucked under her arm. No shadow followed, no doubt dimmed her purpose. The gallery owner, sensing this unwavering light, offered her a solo exhibition on the spot. The law is clear. What you consistently entertain in consciousness must manifest in experience. Fear tolerated becomes fear substantiated. Doubt harbored becomes doubt justified. Yet these shadows have no power of their own. They live solely by the light of attention you grant them. To command your world is to stand sentinel at the gate of consciousness, refusing entry to every shadow that would dim your certainty. The universe knows no opposition to your good, except what you accept in thought. Your power lies not in never feeling fear, but in refusing to bow before it. When doubt approaches, it comes not as truth, but as a test of your authority. Each shadow dismissed strengthens your command. Each fear canceled restores your rightful dominion. The practice. Each time fear rises, speak aloud, I cancel you. It is done. Chapter 17, The Circle of Gold. Upon a sun-worn windowsill, Isadora placed a single copper coin, not for its meager worth, but for what it represented in the vast algebra of creation. Each morning as dawn painted the eastern sky, she would touch this humble token and speak to it as though it were the seed of infinite supply. The coin itself held no power. This truth must be understood. It served as a point of focus, a sacred vessel, through which intention could flow undivided. As water shapes itself to any vessel, so does universal substance. Take the form of concentrated thought. In your hands lies the same creative authority. The universe requires a focal point, a gathering place where thought can crystallize into form. This is the hidden wisdom behind every talisman, every sacred object throughout the ages. They are not sources of power, but channels through which power flows. When Isadora spoke to her coin, she was not entreating copper and zinc. She was commanding the very substance of creation. Day by day, her fortune grew. First in subtle ways, unexpected refunds, forgotten debts repaid. Then in greater measure, promotions, investments that flourished, opportunities that seemed to rise from nowhere. The coin remained unchanged, but her consciousness of wealth had found its anchor. Floyd understood this principle through necessity. His farm lay parched under merciless skies, his last seed cupped in calloused hands. In that moment of extremity, he grasped what generations of mystics had taught. The physical is merely a shadow of the spiritual. Taking that final seed, he blessed it not as a desperate farmer, but as a conscious creator. That seed became his point of contact with infinite supply. He planted it with reverence, watered it with certainty. Where others saw scarcity, he saw that single seed as a universe of abundance taking form. His crop that year defied natural law. Abundance flowed as though scarcity had never existed. This is the mastery you are called to embrace. The universe does not respond to size, but to significance. A mustard seed of faith, fully charged with unwavering consciousness, carries more power than mountains of doubt. Choose your symbol with care. Let it be something that speaks to your inner knowing of abundance, success, or whatever state you seek to manifest. It matters not what form it takes. A key, a stone, a written word. What matters is the consciousness you pour into it. Your chosen object becomes a bridge between the visible and invisible, the actual and the potential. Through it, your thought gains direction, your faith finds focus, and the formless takes form. The practice: choose one object today and charge it with the energy of your fulfilled desire. Chapter 18. The Lamp of Vision. In ancient days, a humble brass lamp passed through generations until it reached the hands of Levi, a merchant of modest means. Each evening, he would light this unassuming vessel and sit in its gentle radiance. Yet this was no ordinary lamp. Its flame seemed to draw sustenance from something beyond ordinary oil. As Levi gazed into its steady glow night after night, images began to form in his mind with startling clarity. He saw great trading routes where none existed, prosperous markets in barren lands, and vessels laden with treasure crossing uncharted seas. These visions came not as mere fancy, but with such vivid detail that they seemed more real than the world around him. The universe operates through immutable law. What is held steadfast in inner vision must manifest in outer form. The lamp served not as source, but as catalyst, focusing Levi's consciousness until his visions gained the weight of certainty. One by one, his mental images took physical form. Trading posts arose, ships sailed, and wealth flowed as though directed by an unseen hand. The power lay not in the lamp, but in the law. It helped him grasp. Sustained vision, charged with feeling, becomes command. This is the forgotten science of manifestation. Your inner eye is the architect of your reality, drawing blueprints that the universe must build. Eunice discovered this same truth through different means. Each morning, she would sit at her window and see not the cramped tenement before her, but the life she knew awaited her unveiling. In her mind's eye, she walked through sunlit rooms, tended flourishing gardens, and wrote at a desk overlooking peaceful waters. She did not wish for these things, she saw them. Not with physical eyes, but with the eye of unwavering knowing. Day after day she held these images until they gained substance in her consciousness. The outer world had no choice but to reshape itself, to match her inner vision. This is the hidden meaning behind every sacred text that speaks of the eye becoming single. When inner sight remains fixed upon its target, all the forces of creation align to bring it forth. Vision sustained becomes law. You possess this same creative power. The images you hold in sustained consciousness are commands issued to the infinite. Whether you see lack or abundance, limitation or possibility, the universe moves to multiply your vision. You're the practice. Gaze upon your desire inwardly for 5 minutes tonight until it feels inevitable. Chapter 19. The Treasury of Words. In a small coastal town where waves whispered ancient secrets to the shore, Ophelia discovered the hidden treasury of words. Not content with common speech, she collected phrases of power like precious stones, storing them in a velvet-bound journal. Each morning she would select her words with the precision of a jeweler choosing diamonds, letting them rest on her tongue before releasing them into the world. "Abundance flows to me as naturally as breath," she would declare, tasting the richness of each syllable. "My life unfolds in perfect harmony." These were not mere affirmations. They were sovereign decrees, each one carrying the weight of universal law. As days passed, her reality began to shift, aligning itself with the elegance of her speech. Opportunities arose as if summoned by her carefully chosen words. Her simple shop transformed into an emporium of beauty, drawing clients who reflected the refinement of her language. The universe operates through vibration, and words are vessels of vibrational force. Every utterance sends ripples through the infinite field, attracting circumstances that match its frequency. Those who master this law understand that speech is not expression, it is creation. Ambrose, a struggling merchant, learned this truth through bitter experience. His days once overflowed with complaints about unfair competition and dwindling profits. Each grievance pulled him deeper into lack, until his business teetered on collapse. Then one morning, standing amid his near-empty shelves, he recalled an ancient teaching. The tongue has power of life and death. In that moment, he made a sacred vow to speak only of abundance, regardless of appearances. "My storehouse overflows with prosperity," he would say, even when facing empty crates. "Customers seek me out with joy." He guarded his speech as carefully as his gold, refusing to let a single word of lack pass his lips. Within weeks, new patrons appeared. His shelves began to fill, and soon his ledgers showed profits where once there were losses. His words had become magnetic, drawing forth the very conditions they described. This is the forgotten alchemy. Words shape the substance of existence. The universe does not respond to what you want or need. It answers what you speak with authority. Your tongue is the pen that writes your destiny. The practice for the next hour: speak only words that match your highest life. Chapter 20. The Secret of the Empty Hand. In the shadow of the Great Depression, Sylvester stood in his emptied mansion, watching as the last of his possessions were carried away. His empire of textile mills, built over 3 decades, had crumbled in a single season. Yet as he gazed through bare windows at the setting sun, an unusual peace settled over him. In that moment of complete surrender, something shifted within his soul. The weight of possession, the burden of maintaining appearances, the constant fear of loss, all dissolved into the evening air. For the first time in years, he breathed freely. The universe operates through an immutable law. Nature abhors a vacuum. Just as air rushes to fill an empty space, so too does abundance flow toward the vessel that has been emptied. This truth lies hidden in plain sight, written in the rhythm of tides, the cycle of seasons, the eternal dance of giving and receiving. When you cling to what is, you leave no room for what could be. Your tight grasp becomes the very barrier that blocks the flow of greater good. The universe cannot fill hands already full. Minerva, a renowned pianist, understood this principle when illness robbed her of her ability to play. Her identity, her livelihood, her very purpose seemed stripped away. In her darkest hour, she sat at her silent piano and opened her hands palm up, a gesture of complete surrender. "Take it all," she whispered to the infinite. "I trust in what comes next." In that sacred moment of letting go, she felt lighter, as if invisible wings unfurled within her soul. The music that had been locked in her fingers found new expression through her voice. She began teaching others, not just to play notes, but to hear the symphony of life itself. Her influence expanded beyond anything she could have achieved at the keys. This is the paradox of spiritual law. Loss creates space for gain. Emptiness invites fullness. Surrender leads to victory. The universe does not fill your cup according to your clutching, but according to your capacity to release. When you hold nothing as essential, everything becomes available. When you cease demanding, you become ready to receive. When you bless what leaves, you sanctify the space for what arrives. In the practice, release one thing you cling to today and bless the space it leaves behind. Part 3, The Throne of Command. In Chapter 21, The Royal Decree. Agnes stood before her reflection in a tarnished mirror, her shoulders bent from years of accepting life's blows. In that moment, something ancient stirred within her spirit. She straightened her spine and spoke not as one who begs, but as one who rules. "My house shall prosper, and none shall prevent it." The words rang with strange authority in her small apartment. From that day forward, she moved through life not as a supplicant, but as a sovereign. Bills that had piled high began to resolve themselves. Opportunities appeared as if summoned. Those who once dismissed her now sought her counsel. The universe recognizes authority when it speaks. Your words carry the same creative force that set the stars in motion, but this power awakens only when you claim your rightful throne. Every soul bears a crown of dominion, though few dare to wear it. In the realm of spirit, declaration is law. What you decree with unwavering certainty must manifest, for this is the ancient covenant between consciousness and creation. Your word, spoken with the full weight of conviction, becomes a command that reality must obey. Orville witnessed this truth when his printing business faced ruin. While others frantically sought solutions, he withdrew into his office and spoke with quiet authority. "This business shall not fail. It shall flourish beyond measure." He uttered these words not as hope or desperate prayer, but as law. Within days, a new client appeared with a contract that would sustain his company for years. When asked about his remarkable turnaround, Orville simply smiled, knowing he had touched a power beyond common understanding. This is not the arrogance of human will, but the natural authority of a soul awakened to its true station. When you speak from this place of power, doubt dissolves, resistance bows, and circumstances rearrange themselves to fulfill your word. Your decrees are not wishes cast into the void, but commands issued from the throne room of consciousness. The universe does not respond to pleading, it yields to authority. Every circumstance in your life awaits your royal command. The practice is speak one decree today as if a king addressing loyal subjects. Chapter 22. The Arc of Intention. In a time when wishes scattered like leaves in autumn winds, Rosalind understood a truth most had forgotten. Within her modest home sat a cedar box, weathered by years yet gleaming with inner purpose. Into this vessel she placed not trinkets or treasures, but the seeds of her desires, written on small pieces of parchment. Each morning she would lift the lid and breathe in the cedar's sweet fragrance, allowing her dreams to steep in sacred silence. She never spoke of what lay within, understanding that exposure to doubting eyes could wither even the strongest intention. The box became her secret altar, a sanctuary where possibility grew undisturbed by the world's harsh winds. You hold this same power within your grasp. The universe honors what is kept in holy silence, for in secrecy, intention gathers strength. When you shield your deepest yearnings from idle talk and skeptical glances, you create a protected space where manifestation can take root. Baxter, a man of modest means but mighty vision, learned this wisdom through necessity. In his workshop, he fashioned a simple wooden ark, its interior lined with copper. Here, he stored drawings of his inventions, protecting them from prying eyes that might have dismissed his dreams as folly. In this sacred space, his ideas gained strength, nourished by his unwavering faith and protected from the corrosive effects of doubt. As seasons turned, each invention emerged from its chrysalis of silence, fully formed and ready for the world. What he had guarded in solitude now stood as testament to the power of protected intention. This reveals the eternal law. Creation requires sanctuary. Just as a seed must be buried in darkness before it can reach toward light, your desires need a sacred space where they can gather force. The universe moves with greatest power through channels of holy silence. Your thoughts, when held in the secret chamber of your heart, acquire a magnetic force that draws manifestation near. This is not mere concealment, but spiritual alchemy. In the treasury of silence, intention transforms into inevitability. Remember, the greatest works of creation unfold in silence. The flower does not announce its blooming, nor does the pearl declare its formation. They simply emerge in perfection when their season arrives. At the practice, conceal your greatest desire today as a sacred trust. Let no one profane it. Chapter 23, The Throne of Stillness. In the bustling heart of a merchant city, Norbert moved like a leaf caught in life's endless storms. Each day brought new schemes, fresh ventures, and mounting frustration. His hands reached ever outward, grasping at success that seemed to slip through his fingers like water. Until one fateful evening, exhausted by his ceaseless pursuit, he sank into his father's old armchair. In that moment of surrender, something shifted within. The quiet that enveloped him felt different, not empty, but pregnant with possibility. As he remained still, a profound truth descended. He had been chasing what was already seeking him. The universe responds not to the running feet, but to the seated sovereign. When you cease the endless pursuit and claim your rightful throne of consciousness, all things begin to arrange themselves around you. This is the forgotten art of royal stillness, the knowing that your kingdom comes not through striving, but through the calm authority of your being. Selma, a merchant's daughter, discovered this truth through bitter necessity. Her days were filled with ceaseless activity, each hour marked by another task, another goal, another achievement. Yet prosperity eluded her like a mirage before a desert traveler. One morning, gazing at her reflection, she saw the truth. She had been acting like a servant in her own kingdom. With this realization, she changed her approach. Instead of rushing to meet each opportunity, she began to sit in quiet expectation, knowing that what was truly hers would come to her. Within weeks, opportunities began appearing at her door. Clients sought her out, ventures aligned themselves, and success flowed with an ease she had never known. She had discovered the secret. The universe serves those who assume their rightful place upon the throne of consciousness. This is the law that governs all manifestation. Assumption of the state is more powerful than any action taken from a place of lack. When you sit in the stillness of knowing, you activate forces beyond mortal striving. The king or queen does not chase after their subjects. They sit in calm authority, and the kingdom arranges itself around them. Your true power lies not in doing, but in being. The throne of your consciousness awaits, and from this seat of quiet authority, you command forces unseen. Every desire you hold exists already in the infinite field of possibility. Your role is not to force it into being, but to sit in royal certainty of its approach. The practice: sit in royal stillness for 10 minutes tonight, feeling all is already yours. As night falls, carve out 10 minutes of silence. Sit tall, as if upon an invisible throne, shoulders open, breath deep and steady. Close your eyes and feel the weight of sovereignty. You are not waiting, you are reigning. The kingdom you command is thought, and every subject is already in obedience. Chapter 24, The Law of Double Portion. In a small village where scarcity cast long shadows, Alma awoke each morning to bare cupboards and worn clothes. Yet within her heart burned an ancient understanding that defied earthly mathematics. When a wandering family knocked at her door, she shared her last loaf of bread without hesitation. You see, Alma had discovered a truth that transcends the visible realm. Giving is not loss, but a command to the universal treasury. As she broke that final loaf, something stirred in the unseen, a ripple in the infinite field of supply. Within days, her neighbors' gardens yielded unexpected surplus, all finding their way to her kitchen. A distant relative remembered her in their will. The universe had responded to her gesture not with equal measure, but with multiplication. This is the hidden law that governs abundance. What flows out creates channels for greater return. Like a stream that must release its waters to maintain its supply, your consciousness must remain in constant circulation. When you hold tight to what you have, you declare scarcity as your truth. But when you give from a place of abundance, even in apparent lack, you command the universe to match your vision. Virgil, a struggling artisan, learned this wisdom through divine synchronicity. Though his workshop gathered dust and his coins were few, he crafted his finest piece as a gift for the village temple. This act, born of pure generosity, set forces in motion beyond his understanding. Soon, patrons appeared as if summoned, each requesting work that bore the same spirit of excellence. The universe operates through paradox. To receive more, give what seems irreplaceable. To gain abundance, release your grip on scarcity. This is not mere transaction, but transformation. Every gift offered with pure intent becomes a declaration to the universal mind. I live in abundance, for I can give freely. You stand now at this same threshold of understanding. The law of increase awaits your recognition. It matters not whether your gift is material or spiritual, grand or modest. What matters is the consciousness behind the giving, the knowing that you are a channel for infinite supply, not its source or final destination. The practice it gives something today, no matter how small, and bless it as seed. Today, choose something, anything to give. It may be a coin, a kind word, a gesture of grace. Let it come from the quiet certainty that giving opens unseen gates. Chapter 25, The Mantle of Faith. In the depths of winter, when others saw only barren branches, Elmer beheld spring's promise. His faith was not mere belief, but a tangible force that wrapped around him like an invisible cloak. Each morning, he would touch this unseen garment, knowing it held power to transform his world. You possess this same sacred vestment, though perhaps you have forgotten its presence. Faith is not something you create. It is your natural state, as inherent as breath itself. When you strip away learned doubt, you find this royal garment has always been yours. Elmer faced impossible circumstances, debts that loomed like mountains, doors that seemed forever sealed. Yet wrapped in his mantle of faith, he moved through each day as though victory was already assured. He did not pray for outcomes. He lived from them. The universe, recognizing this unwavering certainty, could offer no resistance. One by one, the mountains crumbled. The doors swung wide. This is the law that governs all manifestation. Faith, worn consciously, becomes your shield against doubt's arrows. It transforms your very presence into a command that reality must obey. Just as a king's robes declare his authority without words, your faith proclaims your dominion over circumstance. Winifred discovered this truth during her darkest hour. When all external evidence spoke of loss, she wrapped herself in absolute knowing. She did not fight against doubt. She simply wore her faith with such completeness that doubt found no place to root. Within months, her circumstances transformed so dramatically that others called it miracle. But Winifred knew. She had simply remembered to wear what was always hers. You stand now at this same threshold of understanding. Your garment of faith awaits your recognition. It is not something to achieve or earn. It is your birthright, woven from the same substance as stars. When you consciously don this royal attire, the universe itself must bow to your unwavering knowing. Remember, faith is not a shield against reality. It is the very substance from which reality is formed. Wear it not as protection, but as declaration. Let it envelop every thought, every word, every action. Like Elmer and Winifred, you will find that nothing can stand against one who is fully clothed in absolute knowing. The practice: declare aloud, I am robed in faith, and nothing can be denied me. Stand where you feel most still, before a mirror, at an open window, or in the quiet center of your room. Take a breath that reaches deep into your soul. Imagine yourself clothed in a radiant garment of light, shimmering with strength and serenity. This is the robe of faith, woven from trust, lined with certainty. Stand in the vibration of those words, sense doors unlocking, paths opening, and all forces of creation bending toward your command, not by struggle, but by law. Chapter 26, The Crown of Completion. In a humble kitchen with only a small candle for light, Daphne held a vision within her heart until its warmth filled her entire being. She understood that imagining was not enough. The soul must experience the end, as though it breathes in this very moment. Each night she would sit in that gentle glow, feeling the fullness of her desires as though they had already come to pass. This wisdom lies at the heart of all creation. Nothing manifests until it is first finished in the realm of feeling. Your outer world arranges itself according to what you hold as completed within. When you plant a seed, you do not dig it up each day to check its progress. You trust in the harvest. So too must you trust in the completion of what you seek. The universe responds not to your yearning but to your knowing. When you feel the end as real, time itself bends to arrange the middle steps. This is the hidden law that shapes all manifestation. What is felt as finished in the soul must appear in the world of form. Horatio, a craftsman of modest means, grasped this truth through his own revelation. Before beginning any venture, he would first crown it with completion in his mind. He treated each desire not as a distant hope, but as a finished symphony waiting to be heard. In his workshop, surrounded by raw materials, he would close his eyes and feel the satisfaction of achievement before lifting a single tool. His method never varied. Each morning, he would sit in perfect stillness, allowing the feeling of completion to wash over him like warm sunlight. He did not chase his dreams. He remembered them as though they had already come to pass. Soon, his small workshop transformed into a renowned studio, his crafts sought after by collectors who sensed the certainty woven into each piece. This same power awaits your recognition. When you approach your desires, do not reach for them as things yet to come. Instead, step into the feeling of their fulfillment. Let completion be your starting point, not your destination. Feel the weight of achievement, the peace of attainment, the quiet joy of knowing it is done. Remember, the end imagined with feeling becomes the law that shapes the path. Your task is not to make things happen, but to feel them as already complete. In this lies the secret of effortless manifestation, the crown of completion worn before the journey begins. The practice tonight. Feel one desire as finished and bow in gratitude before sleep. As night draws its curtain, dim the lights and let the noise of the day fall away. This is the sacred threshold where worlds are chosen. Close your eyes and draw into your heart one desire, just one, not as a hope, but as a finished reality. See it vivid, hear its sounds, feel the texture of its truth, as if it already breathes in your life. Whisper nothing more, only bow in spirit. And let gratitude flood your being, as if creation has already answered. For in the quantum field, it has. Drift to sleep, cradled by this certainty, knowing the unseen is moving to meet you. Chapter 27, The River That Obeys. A lone fisherman named Irving stood at the river's edge each dawn, watching how water yielded to every stone and branch in its path. Through seasons of observation, he noticed that the river never fought its obstacles. It simply found new ways to flow. In this flowing acceptance, he recognized a profound truth about the nature of life itself. Just as water shapes itself to every contour it meets, your experience molds itself to the vessel of your beliefs. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, does not resist your faith. It becomes the very channel through which your faith flows. When you hold a belief with unwavering certainty, all of life conspires to match its current. Irving came to understand that his struggles arose not from external forces, but from his own resistance to life's natural flow. As he released his rigid expectations and allowed his faith to guide him, abundance began streaming into his life with effortless grace. The fish seemed to leap into his nets, and opportunities appeared as naturally as rapids forming in a swift current. This same principle revealed itself to Clementine, who had long battled against circumstances she deemed unfavorable. One morning, gazing at her reflection in a still pond, she realized that her inner resistance had created outer turbulence. In that moment of clarity, she shifted her inner current, choosing to believe in the perfect unfolding of her good. As Clementine aligned her thoughts with this new understanding, she witnessed a remarkable transformation. Just as a river knows precisely how to reach the sea, life began arranging itself in perfect patterns of fulfillment. Business ventures that once seemed stagnant began to flow with renewed vigor. Relationships that had grown cold warmed in the current of her changed consciousness. The power you seek lies not in forcing life to conform to your will, but in aligning your beliefs with the natural flow of good that seeks expression through you. When you trust in this flow, you need not struggle or strain. Like water finding its level, your good will find you through the channel of your faith. Remember, the universe does not resist your belief, it becomes it. Your faith carves the riverbed through which abundance flows. What you accept in consciousness must manifest in experience, as surely as water flows downstream. The practice of whisper, "My life flows with ease toward my good." Pause in a quiet moment. Close your eyes and take 3 slow breaths, feeling your body soften like a leaf upon a gentle stream. Imagine every circumstance bending like water around your feet, carrying you effortlessly toward abundance, love, and peace. Let this sense of flow settle deep within until you know it is already so. Chapter 28, The Hidden Crown. In a humble cottage at the edge of town lived Agatha, who spent her days serving others while harboring a secret whisper in her heart. Each morning, as she tended to mundane tasks, an inner voice grew stronger, speaking of authority beyond earthly station. One dawn, while polishing a brass kettle, she caught her reflection and saw not a servant, but a sovereign being gazing back. This moment of recognition transformed her understanding. She realized that true dominion requires no external validation. It emanates from within. As this truth settled in her soul, her presence began to command respect without demanding it. Her words carried weight not through force, but through the quiet certainty of one who knows their divine heritage. The universe responds not to titles but to consciousness. When you claim your spiritual authority, creation aligns with your inner knowing. This is not the power of ego, but the natural expression of your divine birthright. You need not announce your sovereignty. It radiates from your being when you remember who you are. Mortimer, a modest clerk, discovered this same truth in the silence of his office. Year after year, he had allowed circumstances to dictate his experience, until one profound moment when he recognized the crown he had always worn. He understood that his position in life reflected only his acceptance of limitation, not his true station. As Mortimer began to exercise his inner authority, his environment responded in kind. Decisions that once paralyzed him became clear pronouncements. Challenges that previously seemed insurmountable bowed before his newfound certainty. He had not changed his outer circumstances. He had simply claimed his right to reign over his domain. Your sovereignty awaits your recognition. It is not granted by external forces, but acknowledged from within. When you assume your rightful place as ruler of your consciousness, the outer world must reflect your inner command. This is not arrogance, but spiritual law, the natural order of a universe that honors self-realization. Each thought you entertain is a decree. Each feeling you nurture shapes your kingdom. You need not wait for permission to rule your world. The crown has always been yours. It rests not upon your head, but radiates from your heart, where true authority resides. The practice is stand tall and inwardly declare, I rule my world with wisdom and love. Stand tall, shoulders open, spine aligned, as if a golden thread lifts you toward the heavens. Feel the earth steady beneath your feet and the cosmos stretching above. Feel the authority and tenderness of this statement merge within you, power without tyranny, love without weakness. This is true sovereignty, a rulership aligned with harmony. Chapter 29, the book that commands angels. Within the faded chapters of a time-worn manuscript, Lucinda discovered a simple verse that seemed to pulse with hidden power. As she whispered these ancient words, she felt the air around her shift and change, as though invisible hands were weaving new patterns into the fabric of her reality. Each syllable carried weight beyond its sound. Each phrase opened doorways in the unseen. Through this revelation, a profound truth emerges. Words are not mere sounds that fade into silence, but keys that unlock the treasury of creation. When spoken with unwavering belief, they become commands that set cosmic forces into motion. The universe stands ready, awaiting the voice of one who understands this sacred science. In the stillness of dawn, Ezra grasped this same wisdom. His home, once filled with discord, became his testing ground. Each morning he would speak words of harmony, peace, and joy into every room, not as hopeful wishes, but as divine decrees. Gradually the atmosphere transformed, arguments ceased, laughter returned, and a gentle peace settled over his dwelling. This power lies dormant in your own voice, waiting to be awakened. The angels of circumstance, those invisible forces that arrange events and opportunities, hover near, attentive to your words. They do not judge the size of your request, only the authority with which you speak it. A whisper backed by certainty moves mountains that shouting cannot budge. Your words are seeds planted in the fertile soil of infinite possibility. Each one contains the full power of manifestation, requiring only your unshakable belief to quicken it to life. When you speak with the quiet confidence of one who knows their authority, creation itself leans in to listen. Remember, the universe does not respond to volume, but to vibration. Words spoken with deep conviction, even in silence, echo through the chambers of eternity until what is decreed becomes what is seen. This is not magic but law, as constant as gravity, as reliable as dawn. The practice is speak 3 sentences today as though the universe hastens to obey. Find a quiet moment in your day. Morning is best, when the world is still soft and unformed. Take a slow breath and feel the silence as your ally. Feel the words vibrate through your being like ripples across an infinite sea. Then let them go, knowing the unseen forces are already moving on your behalf. Chapter 30, the throne within the throne. In a chamber beneath an ancient temple, Barnabas sat in meditation when understanding struck like lightning. The throne he sought had always resided within. This truth, so simple yet so powerful, shook the foundations of his understanding. The outer world, with all its chaos and glory, was but a reflection of inner sovereignty. Through endless searching among sacred texts and holy places, he had overlooked the most fundamental truth. Dominion begins not with external conquest, but with inner mastery. The universe does not yield to force, but responds to the quiet authority of one who has found their center of power. In this profound revelation, Barnabas understood that every soul carries within it a sacred chamber where absolute authority resides. This inner sanctum, untouched by circumstance or condition, holds the power to reshape reality itself. Here, in the silence of pure being, every decree becomes law. Magnolia's journey mirrored this wisdom. After years of seeking validation from the outer world, she turned inward and claimed her birthright of spiritual dominion. In her quiet moments, she began to feel the weight of her true crown, not made of gold or jewels, but of unshakable knowing. As she sat in her garden each morning, Magnolia would close her eyes and enter this inner throne room. From this place of power, she would issue silent commands, not as petitions to a distant force, but as declarations of one who knows their divine authority. Gradually, her outer world began to align with her inner vision. This truth stands eternal. The universe does not respond to what you wish, but to what you command from that place of inner knowing. When you speak from your secret throne, creation itself must rearrange to match your decree. This is not arrogance, but the claiming of your natural inheritance. The world you see is not fixed but fluid, waiting to be shaped by the power of your inner authority. When you rule from within, circumstances bow, conditions yield, and what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. This is the final mystery, that all power resides in the silence of your own being. The practice: enter inwardly and whisper, "Here I reign," and all creation obeys. Close your eyes and withdraw from the noise of the outer world. Let your breath become the steady rhythm that opens the inner gate. In the sanctuary of your being, imagine a vast, radiant throne, your true seat of power. See yourself ascending to it, draped not in ego, but in pure authority of consciousness. Sense the vibration of your command rippling through the unseen realms, summoning the version of reality that bows to your inner sovereignty. This is not force. This is alignment. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion: the Book of Enoch does not end here, for no truth eternal can be confined to chapters. Each revelation within these chapters serves as a key, unlocking the dormant power that has always resided within you. The wisdom passed down through ages now awakens in your consciousness, not as mere knowledge, but as living law. The authority you sought through endless seeking now reveals itself in the chamber of your own heart. Every breath you draw carries the creative force that shaped worlds. Every thought you hold becomes a seed planted in the fertile soil of infinite possibility. This is not learning, but remembering, for these truths were etched into your very essence before time itself drew first breath. You stand now at the threshold of your own coronation. The crown you sought in temples and tomes rests already upon your brow. The scepter of command is your focused intention, the throne your unwavering consciousness. This birthright of dominion was never earned, it was always yours to claim. Guard well this sacred knowledge, not as doctrine to be studied, but as power to be wielded. For in the moment you forget your sovereignty, the world will impose its laws upon you. But in the instant you remember, all creation aligns with your command. The universe does not resist the one who knows their true identity. You need no further instruction, no additional revelation. The time has come to write your own testament, upon the scroll of reality. Let every thought be your verse, every word your decree, every action your sacred ritual. For the kingdom you sought was never distant. It pulses within you, waiting only for recognition. Now go forth, clothed in the mantle of your divine authority. The universe awaits your command, not as servant to master, but as law responding to law. For you are not merely reading an ancient text. You are the living book itself. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.